grizzly bear. Grizzly bears, also known as brown bears, are basically nature's heavyweight champions. They're built for power, speed, and survival in some of the harshest environments on Earth. A full-grown adult can weigh anywhere from 130 to 700 kilograms, depending on where they live and what they've been eating. Despite that massive size, they can sprint up to 35 miles per hour, faster than most Olympic athletes. That distinctive shoulder hump you see on a grizzly, that's pure muscle, powering their front legs for digging and striking. Their claws can grow up to 4 inches long, strong enough to flip boulders weighing 90 kilograms like they're tossing pillows. And their sense of smell is legendary. A grizzly can detect food from 20 miles away, with a nose that's 200 times more powerful than a human's. They're omnivorous opportunists, eating everything from berries and roots to salmon and small mammals. That iconic image of grizzlies fishing for salmon in Alaskan rivers? That's not just for show, it's a critical feeding behavior where they pack on weight before winter arrives. Grizzlies are mostly solitary creatures, except during mating season or when abundant food brings them together. When winter comes, they dig dens and hibernate for 5 to 7 months, slowing their heart rate from 40 beats per minute down to just 8. During this time, they don't eat, drink, or even leave the den. Mothers give birth during hibernation, and cubs stay with her for 2 to 3 years, learning everything they need to survive. But life isn't getting easier for grizzlies. Habitat loss from human development and agriculture keeps shrinking their territory. Human-bear conflicts are increasing as their worlds overlap. Climate change affects their food sources, changing berry crops and salmon runs in unpredictable ways. Protected in some regions, but hunted in others, grizzlies face an uncertain future. Mothers must also protect their cubs from adult males, who sometimes kill young bears. Despite their fearsome reputation, grizzly attacks on humans are rare. Most grizzlies simply want to live undisturbed, fishing rivers, digging roots, and ruling the mountains they've called home for thousands of years. They're intelligent problem solvers with incredible memories, returning to productive feeding sites for decades. The grizzly represents raw wilderness, and everything about them commands respect. Giant Panda. The giant panda is basically the gentle giant that shouldn't exist. A carnivore that chose peace. A bear that lives on grass. They weigh between 70 and 125 kilograms and spend their entire lives in the cool mountain bamboo forests of central China, mostly in Sichuan, Shanxi, and Gansu provinces. And here's the thing that makes them so fascinating. Pandas are officially classified as carnivores, yet 99% of their diet is bamboo. Not meat, not fish, bamboo. A plant so low in nutrients that pandas have to eat for 12 to 16 hours every single day just to get enough energy to survive. They consume between 12 and 38 kilograms of bamboo daily, and their digestive systems only absorb about 17% of those nutrients. It's one of the most inefficient diets in the animal kingdom, but pandas have made it work. They've even developed a special adaptation called a pseudo-thumb, which is actually an enlarged wrist bone that functions like an opposable thumb, letting them grip bamboo stalks with surprising precision. Pandas can eat 28 different species of bamboo, preferring young shoots and leaves when available. Despite their size, they're excellent tree climbers and decent swimmers. They're mostly solitary, only coming together during the brief mating season. Communication happens through scent marking and 11 distinct vocalizations. When baby pandas are born, they're shockingly tiny, weighing just 90 to 130 grams. That's about 1/900th of their mother's weight, pink, blind, and completely helpless. The survival challenges pandas face are enormous. Only about 1,164 remain in the wild, according to the most recent census. Their habitat is severely fragmented, broken into isolated patches that prevent genetic mixing between populations. Females are only fertile for 2 to 3 days each year, making reproduction incredibly difficult. Bamboo forests go through natural die-off cycles, And when that happens, pandas lose their primary food source. Historic hunting reduced their numbers dramatically, and though they're now protected, poaching still occurs. Climate change is threatening bamboo growth patterns, adding another layer of uncertainty to their future. Pandas are conservation icons for a reason. Their survival depends almost entirely on one plant, making them incredibly vulnerable, yet remarkably persistent. They've chosen the hardest path to survival, and somehow made it work. In a world of fierce predators, the panda proved that gentleness can be its own form of strength. American black bear. American black bears are the ultimate adapters, comfortable in wilderness, suburbs, and everywhere in between. They're the most widespread bear species in North America, found in 32 U.S. states, all Canadian provinces, and parts of Mexico. With an estimated population of around 900,000, they've figured out something other large predators struggle with: how to survive in a world dominated by humans. Black bears vary wildly in size, depending on region and season, weighing anywhere from 40 to 300 kilograms. And despite the name, they're not always black. Their fur can be brown, cinnamon, blonde, blue-gray, or even white in the case of the rare spirit bear found in British Columbia. They have an excellent sense of smell, good hearing, and moderate eyesight. They're not territorial, but they do maintain home ranges, and they can run up to 30 miles per hour, climb trees in seconds, and swim across lakes without hesitation. Black bears are omnivorous opportunists, with about 85% of their diet coming from plant matter like berries, nuts, and grasses, supplemented by insects, fish, and occasionally small mammals. What makes them truly remarkable is their intelligence. Black bears have incredible memories, returning to productive food sources year after year. They're problem solvers, capable of opening doors, jars, and complex containers. Some populations even use tools, like sticks for scratching, or rocks for marking territory. During winter, they hibernate for 3 to 7 months, depending on how far north they live. Cubs are born during hibernation, tiny and helpless, usually in January or February. But the biggest challenge black bears face isn't finding food or avoiding predators. It's us. Human-wildlife conflict is the primary threat to their survival. They're attracted to garbage, bird feeders, pet food, and gardens. When natural food becomes scarce, black bears wander into neighborhoods searching for easy meals, and this often leads to conflicts. So-called nuisance bears are frequently relocated, or, in worst cases, euthanized. Vehicle collisions are increasing. Habitat loss from suburban sprawl continues, and black bears are still legally hunted in many states during regulated seasons. The real danger for black bears is learning to associate humans with food, which is dangerous for both species. Most of the time, black bears aren't aggressive. They're simply curious animals trying to survive. Black bears are survivors in the truest sense. While other large predators struggle with human expansion, black bears figured out how to navigate our world. They're intelligent enough to exploit new opportunities, but wild enough to remain independent. They remind us that coexistence is possible when both species make space for each other. Sun bear. Sun bears are the smallest bears in the world, but don't let that fool you. They're pocket-sized powerhouses built for tropical survival. Weighing just 27 to 65 kilograms and standing about 120 to 150 centimeters tall, they're roughly the size of a large dog. But what they lack in size, they make up for in personality and specialization. Sun bears have the longest tongue of any bear relative to their body size, stretching 20 to 25 centimeters. That's almost as long as a ruler. Their short, sleek black fur helps them stay cool in the intense tropical heat, and across their chest sits a distinctive golden or orange patch shaped like a rising sun, which gives them their name. Every sun bear's chest patch is unique, like a fingerprint. Their curved claws can reach up to 10 centimeters long, perfect for climbing and ripping open logs and termite mounds. Sun bears live in the tropical rainforests of Southeast Asia, including Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand, Myanmar, and Bangladesh. They're also called honey bears because of their love for honey, or dog bears in Malay, beruang madu. These bears are arboreal specialists, spending a significant amount of their time high in the trees. They actually build sleeping nests in the canopy from broken branches, similar to how orangutans create their sleeping platforms. Most of their activity happens at night or during twilight hours to avoid the worst of the daytime heat. Their diet consists mainly of honey, insects like termites and bees, fruits, small vertebrates, and bird eggs. That incredibly long tongue is their secret weapon, allowing them to extract insects from deep nests and honey from hives that other animals can't reach. Their powerful jaws can crack open hard nuts and tear through tree bark to reach hidden food. Sun bears are solitary except during mating season, and because rainforest food is relatively abundant, they have the smallest home ranges of any bear species. But their world is disappearing fast. Habitat destruction is catastrophic, with palm oil plantations replacing rainforests at an alarming rate across Southeast Asia. Poaching remains a serious threat, with sun bears killed for traditional medicine. Their bile, paws, and gallbladders are sold illegally. Cubs are captured for the illegal pet trade after their mothers are killed. Thousands of sun bears are held in horrific conditions on bear farms, where their bile is extracted repeatedly. And because sun bears are naturally shy and live in dense, difficult-to-access habitats, they're the least studied bear species. Scientists still don't know exactly how many remain, but populations are declining. Sun bears prove that power isn't about size. They've mastered one of Earth's most complex ecosystems with tools perfectly suited to rainforest life. That glowing chest patch in the dark forest, those impossibly long tongues, those climbing skills that rival primates. They're living proof that evolution crafts perfection in every size. Sloth bear. Sloth bears are built like vacuum cleaners and attack like wild cards. They're the bears that chose insects over everything else, and their entire body reflects that decision. Weighing between 55 and 145 kilograms, they live across the Indian subcontinent, including India, Sri Lanka, Nepal, Bhutan, and Bangladesh. Their long, shaggy coat looks almost unkempt, but it serves multiple purposes. It protects them from insect bites and stings, shields them from the intense sun, and helps regulate their body temperature in hot climates. Their claws are long and curved, reaching up to 10 centimeters, designed for digging rather than climbing. But the real magic happens with their face. Sloth bears have a long, mobile snout and incredibly flexible lips that work together like a suction tube. They're missing their upper front teeth, which actually creates a more powerful vacuum effect. And they can close their nostrils completely to prevent insects from crawling inside while they're feeding. The sounds they make while eating are remarkable. Sloth bears are the noisiest bears on the planet, producing loud huffing, snorting, and sucking sounds that can be heard from 100 meters away. They're myrmecophagous, which means they specialize in eating ants and termites. About 80% of their diet is insects. They use those powerful claws to rip open termite mounds and then suck out the insects with incredible vacuum power, gulping down hundreds or thousands in minutes. They also eat fruits, especially figs, along with flowers and honey when available. Sloth bears are primarily nocturnal, avoiding the daytime heat and reducing the chance of human encounters. One of their most distinctive behaviors is how mothers carry their cubs. Unlike other bears, sloth bear mothers let their cubs ride on their backs for 6 to 9 months, with the cubs clinging to that thick, shaggy fur as she moves through the forest. It's unique among all bear species. But here's the complicated part. Sloth bears are responsible for more human injuries in India than any other bear species. They're not naturally aggressive, but they have poor eyesight and startle extremely easily. When surprised, they react defensively and fiercely. As villages and agricultural land expand into bear territory, surprise encounters become more common. Habitat loss continues to shrink their range. They're poached for bile and body parts used in traditional medicine. Historically, sloth bears were captured and forced to perform as dancing bears, a cruel practice that's mostly ended but left lasting scars on populations. Their food sources are declining as forests become fragmented. Sloth bears chose the road less traveled, specializing so completely that their entire body became a tool for one job. That shaggy coat, that tubular snout, those powerful claws. Every feature tells the story of a bear that went all in on insects. Aggressive? Sometimes. Misunderstood? Always. They're simply trying to survive in a crowded world that leaves less space for wild things every year. Spectacled bear? South America's only bear, wearing nature's glasses and mastering mountains no other bear dared to climb. Spectacled bears, also called Andean bears, weigh between 70 and 200 kilograms, with males significantly larger than females. What makes them instantly recognizable are the distinctive cream or white markings around their eyes and across their muzzle, patterns that look remarkably like a pair of eyeglasses. And here's what makes this even more special. Every single spectacled bear has a unique pattern, like a fingerprint. You can identify individual bears just by looking at their facial markings. They live exclusively in the Andes Mountains, ranging from Venezuela all the way down to Argentina, inhabiting cloud forests at elevations between 250 and 4,750 meters. In some places, they're called ucumari in the Quechua language, a name that carries centuries of cultural significance. Spectacled bears are the most herbivorous bears after giant pandas, with only about 5 to 7% of their diet coming from meat. They eat bromeliads, fruits, especially palm nuts, cacti, bamboo hearts, honey, and occasionally small mammals. But what's truly remarkable is how they eat. Spectacled bears are excellent climbers, some of the best in the bear world. They can spend days in a single tree, feeding on fruit or stripping bark. They build feeding platforms in trees by breaking and bending branches, creating sturdy structures where they can sit and eat comfortably. These bears can climb 30 meters high, moving through the canopy with surprising grace for animals their size. They're mostly diurnal, active during the day, though they adjust their schedules based on human activity in the area. They're naturally shy and reclusive, avoiding human contact whenever possible. They're also good swimmers and regularly cross rivers as they move through their mountain territories. They create what researchers call bear nests, sleeping and feeding platforms high in the canopy. The challenges spectacled bears face are severe. Only about 13,000 remain in the wild, though exact numbers are hard to confirm because they're so difficult to study. Their populations are small and fragmented across the Andes mountain range. Habitat loss from agriculture, especially coffee plantations, cattle ranching, and crop farming, continues to shrink their territory. Farmers sometimes kill spectacled bears in retaliation for livestock predation or crop raiding, even though these bears rarely hunt large animals. They're hunted for body parts used in traditional medicine. Climate change is threatening the cloud forest ecosystems they depend on. And because their populations are geographically isolated, different groups can't interbreed, which reduces genetic diversity and makes them more vulnerable to disease and environmental changes. Spectacled bears are the least studied bear species in the Americas. Spectacled bears are evolutionary pioneers, the only bear that conquered South America and made the steep Andes their fortress. Those painted faces make each one unmistakable, like nature gave them masks to remember them by. They're gentle vegetarians in a land of jaguars and pumas, proving that in the right place, with the right adaptations, even peace can be a survival strategy. Moon bear. Marked by a crescent moon, the bear that climbs like a cat and fights like it has nothing to lose. Moon bears, also known as Asiatic black bears, weigh between 50 and 200 kilograms and are instantly recognizable by the distinctive white or cream V-shaped patch on their chest that resembles a crescent moon. Their fur is jet black with prominent rounded ears that sit high on their heads. They're found across a massive range in Asia, from Iran all the way to Japan, and from Russia down through Southeast Asia. They live in broadleaf forests, mountain regions, and even tropical rainforests, adapting to a wide variety of habitats. Moon bears are also called white-chested bears, or Himalayan black bears depending on the region. What makes moon bears particularly impressive is their climbing ability. They have the strongest limbs of any bear species relative to their body size, and they're exceptional climbers, regularly reaching heights of 30 meters or more in the trees. They spend about 50% of their lives in trees, more than any bear except the sun bear. Up in the canopy, they build nests from branches where they rest and feed, similar to how great apes create sleeping platforms. Moon bears are omnivorous, eating fruits, nuts, insects, honey, small mammals, and carrion. In northern populations, they hibernate for 3 to 6 months during winter, but in tropical zones where food is available year-round, they don't hibernate at all. They're more comfortable walking on 2 legs than most other bears, and they use bipedal postures frequently while foraging or investigating their surroundings. Moon bears are highly vocal, using a wide range of sounds to communicate with each other. They can be aggressive when surprised or when protecting their cubs, and they won't hesitate to defend themselves. Research has shown that their intelligence is comparable to great apes in problem-solving tests, demonstrating remarkable cognitive abilities. But the reality moon bears face is brutal. They're listed on CITES Appendix Y, meaning they're threatened with extinction. Thousands of moon bears are held in horrific conditions on bile farms, where their bile is extracted repeatedly for use in traditional medicine. It's one of the cruelest practices in the wildlife trade. Their gallbladders and paws are sold illegally, fetching high prices. Deforestation is destroying their habitat across Asia at an alarming rate. Human-wildlife conflict is increasing as their territories shrink and overlap more with villages and farms. Despite legal protection in most countries, poaching continues. Current estimates suggest only about 50,000 moon bears remain in the wild, and that number is declining. Rescue sanctuaries across Asia work to rehabilitate bears rescued from bile farms, but most of these bears can never be released back into the wild because they've lost the skills needed to survive, and their bodies are too damaged. Moon bears carry their symbol on their chest, a marking that made them both sacred and hunted. They're intelligent, expressive, and deeply emotional animals that form strong bonds and show clear personalities. Every rescued moon bear tells a story of resilience. They survived the worst humans could do and still find joy in climbing, playing, and living. They deserve better than they've gotten. Polar bear, the apex predator of ice, the largest land carnivore, perfectly built for a world that's melting beneath its paws. Polar bears are the largest bear species on Earth. Males typically weigh between 350 and 700 kilograms, while females range from 150 to 250 kilograms. The largest polar bear ever recorded weighed 1,002 kilograms, roughly the weight of a small car. Unlike other bears, polar bears are almost entirely carnivorous, with about 98% of their diet consisting of meat, primarily ringed and bearded seals. They live in the Arctic Circle, across the sea ice and coastlines of Canada, Alaska, Russia, Greenland, and Norway. Their habitat is frozen ocean, where ice and water meet. Everything about a polar bear's body is built for extreme cold and marine hunting. Their fur appears white or cream-colored, but each hair is actually a transparent hollow tube. Underneath that fur, their skin is black, which helps absorb heat from the sun. They have a layer of fat up to 11 centimeters thick that insulates them from freezing water and air. Their massive paws, about 30 centimeters wide, act as both snowshoes for walking on thin ice and as paddles for swimming. And polar bears are incredible swimmers. They can swim over 100 kilometers without rest, and individuals have been spotted as far as 320 kilometers from shore. They can smell seals through 1 meter of ice from 1.6 kilometers away. That sense of smell is their most important hunting tool. Polar bears use a technique called still hunting, where they wait beside seal-breathing holes, completely motionless for hours, sometimes even longer. When a seal finally surfaces to breathe, the bear strikes with explosive speed and power, hooking the seal out of the water with claws and teeth. Polar bears need to consume about 2 kilograms of fat every single day to maintain their body weight. During the spring and early summer, when seals are abundant and easier to hunt, polar bears eat as much as possible, packing on weight to survive leaner times. They can actually go months without eating, surviving entirely on stored fat reserves. Polar bears are primarily solitary except during breeding season. Pregnant females dig dens in snow where they give birth during winter. Cubs are born tiny, weighing just 0.6 kilograms, and they stay with their mother for about 2.5 years while learning the skills necessary to survive in one of Earth's harshest environments. The best hunting happens between April and July, when seal populations are at their highest. But here's the crisis. Climate change is an existential threat to polar bears. Sea ice is melting earlier each spring and forming later each fall. In some areas, the hunting season has been shortened by 3 weeks or more, which means less time to build the fat reserves they need to survive. Polar bears are being forced to swim longer distances between ice floes, and drowning incidents are increasing, especially among cubs and weaker adults. Nutritional stress is affecting reproduction rates. Females without enough body fat can't successfully carry pregnancies to term. Human polar bear conflicts are rising as hungry bears come ashore looking for food in communities. Some populations have declined by 40% in recent decades. Cubs are starving because their mothers can't find enough food to produce sufficient milk. Polar bears are currently listed as vulnerable, but many scientists believe they should be classified as endangered. Research suggests that if current trends continue, some populations could disappear within our lifetimes. Polar bears are both magnificent and tragic, the ultimate symbol of a planet in crisis. Every adaptation that made them perfect for ice now works against them as that ice disappears. They represent the wild Arctic, but also our choice. Will we act in time to save the ice they need? Or will we witness the extinction of the world's most powerful bear? If you want to see more species explained, click video on screen now and subscribe.